Hey, what's up, Chiefs fans? Harrison Graham here from Chat Sports with another edition of NFL Daily. Today, we're grading the Kansas City Chiefs draft. They had 6 selections in the 2019 NFL Draft. Hope you guys joined us. We had all 7 rounds here on Chat Sports, youtube.com/ChatSportsTV. We were live all weekend long. Kansas City didn't get involved in the first round because they traded that pick to Frank Clark. Quick run through of the selections they made. Trio of picks on day 2. Mecole Hardman, the speedy wide receiver out of Georgia, traded up to get him at 56. Juan Thornhill got him at 63 in the second round as well. They get the interesting Khalen Saunders. You guys might know him from the Senior Bowl, was doing backflips, had a baby while he was there, did not go home to go see his baby born, stayed there to improve his draft stock. Didn't have a pick for a few rounds, went corner in round 6. Rashad Fenton, the corner out of South Carolina. Running back Darwin Thompson out of Utah State. Finished things out with the interior offensive lineman Nick Allegretti in round 7. So, how do I grade this Chiefs draft? I give it a B. Look, I think it was a solid draft, especially the bombshell Kansas City got right before the draft started with the Tyreek Hill audio. We'll get into that in a little bit later. Of course, again, didn't have the first round pick, traded it for Frank Clark, but you can't factor that into the grade of the overall draft. Otherwise, it would be an A. Again, those day 2 picks, you see it there, notable picks on day 3. So let's go through some of the individual picks here on NFL Daily. Starting with their first pick, round 2, 56th overall, Mecole Hardman, the speedy receiver out of Georgia. Now, I did not expect the Chiefs to trade up considering the Tyreek Hill news. I thought they needed every pick possible, but you hear the report over the weekend that the Jets were positioning to trade up for Hardman. So Chiefs move up from 61 to 56. Explosive athlete, top-end speed. Ran a 4.33 at the Combine. Got more involved in Georgia's offense this year as a junior. Has return value, a couple of return touchdowns in his career at Georgia. Kansas City is hopeful that he can be the long-term Tyreek Hill replacement. Obviously, he's not going to step in and be that type of player right away, but he can give you that speed instantly. You look at the Chiefs wide receiver depth chart now. Doesn't look as good as it did a few days ago. Sammy Watkins plugs in as your top guy now. Demarcus Robinson's your number 2 outside guy. I think Hardman's your day 1 slot starter. Sammy Coates, Byron Pringle, I'm looking at you guys. Opportunity is there to get some playing time at receiver in Kansas City. With Hardman, you're hoping he can come in and be an instant impact player day 1. We will see in the training camps and all that. Is he comparable to Tyreek Hill? In some ways he is. You look at the height and weight there, 40 times, very similar. Look, he's a similar type of player. Will he be as productive? We'll have to wait and see. Tyreek Hill last year may have been the most productive receiver in the NFL, definitely the most explosive receiver in the NFL. So I like the pick for Kansas City. We'll see where they go from here. Tyreek Hill's future, by the way, not only don't think he's playing in Kansas City, I think his career might be over. This show brought to you by BetDSI, the #1 online sportsbook. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Enter that code LIVE120 for a 120% bonus. You put $100 down, you will get $120 for free. NBA playoffs starting to kick into gear. NHL playoffs as well. There were a bunch of NFL prop bets over the weekend you could have gotten in on. Well, there's plenty of other stuff you can get it on. chatsports.com/bet. All right, let's keep things rolling here. Juan Thornhill to the Chiefs at number 63. I know my guy Tom Downey here wanted the Cowboys to take him in round 2. Chiefs take him instead. Impressive athlete for his side, 44-inch vertical. Can do a lot of things. Played a couple years at corner before switching to safety late in his career at Virginia, so offers some versatility there. I think the most important part of this, though, is that it's going to allow the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, to roam more freely in that secondary. You look at the depth chart in the back end now. You slide Tyrann Mathieu over to strong. He's going to be more of a roamer. Thornhill, more of that ball hawk back there. You look at the quarterback position. We'll address that a little bit later. But I love this pick for Kansas City. Secondary was a major need entering this draft. They shored up that defensive line with the Frank Clark trade. So safety, corner, kind of the top 2 needs entering the draft. So you look at Juan Thornhill, Mecole Hardman. Who has a bigger impact in year 1? I want to ask you guys. Type H for Hardman, T for Thornhill. I would lean Thornhill because I think he is a lockdown starter from day one. We'll see how Hardman plugs into this lineup. He's still a little bit raw as a wide receiver. Good, speedy athlete, of course, but I want to hear from you guys. You can put it down there in the comments section. Keeping things rolling here. Chiefs go defensive line in round 3. Khalen Saunders, small school kid out of Western Illinois. Very impressive athlete for how big he is at almost 325 pounds, just over 6 feet tall. He is a bowling ball, and he's not just a run stopper, though. 6.5 sacks last year at Western Illinois. I know, again, the competition isn't great, but really stood out at the Senior Bowl. He could shed blockers as a run defender. I think you plug him into this defensive line rotation, I think he competes for playing time right away. Look, Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, those are your starters on the interior. You're a little thin after that, though. I think Saunders plugs in day one, gets involved at camp, and is a rotational player as a rookie, and at some point could become a starter down the road. I think this is a good pick, good value pick. This is a good range for him. Late third, early fourth is kind of where I thought he might go. I like this selection for Kansas City. I think he competes for playing time right away, and that's what you're looking for on day two picks, guys who will contribute in year one. Now, Kansas City did not have a pick for the next 3 rounds or so before they took cornerback Rashad Fenton out of South Carolina. I'm not super high on Fenton. I didn't know a lot about him coming into the draft, but I looked at some of the notes and a little bit of the tape on him over the weekend. Kind of an average athlete, average measurables, didn't test super well at the combine, ran okay, 4.52, has okay ball skills, 3 interceptions last year, 6 pass breakups, lacks discipline at the corner position though, isn't fluid in the hips. Once he's beat, doesn't have the speed to recover, so I'm not sure he can play man coverage in the NFL. May have some upside as a nickel corner down the line. I think special teams will determine his status. Did return some kicks in college. Maybe he offers something there. That's something to keep an eye on too with Tyreek Hill no longer in the picture more likely. You look at the Chiefs cornerback depth chart. I still think there needs to be some upgrades there. You bring in Breland. I think he's a solid NFL number 2 corner. Ward did some good things last year. He's not ready to be the top guy. Obviously, Fuller's your nickel corner there. He's excellent, but outside corner is still a glaring hole for Kansas City. I'm not sure they will upgrade at this point. Not sure if there's a trade out there for them. I'm not sure Rashad Fenton really offers you much other than a special teams player if he makes the roster at all. So I want to ask you guys, should Kansas City have drafted a corner before round 6? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Look, they were a little bit handicapped by the Tyreek Hill news, and when they had to trade up for Hardman, they lost a pick in round 5. You kind of go as the draft dictates. That's what Brett Veach was talking about, general manager, over the weekend. There just wasn't an opportunity to take one earlier. But I want to ask you guys, type Y for yes, N for no, if you think they should have gone corner earlier in the draft. Kansas City also bolstered its backfield in round 6. Darwin Thompson, running back out of Utah State. Tom Downey had a 5th round grade on him. Has some good burst, ran mid-4.4s at the combine, can catch the ball. I think I think he's a rotation back in the NFL. Obviously, he's not a 3-down guy. He's a little undersized, doesn't break a lot of tackles, but he can make you miss out in the open field. You look at the production last year, over 1,000 yards. Only 1 year at Utah State. Was a JUCO product. Before that, had a nice season last year for the Aggies. Productive in the air as well as a receiver. You look at this depth chart. Damian Williams did some good things down the stretch last year after the Chiefs cut Kareem Hunt. You signed Carlos Hyde. I have Thompson as your RB3 right now. Darrell Williams also on the roster. Chiefs also brought in a running back as an undrafted free agent. I'll talk about him a little bit later. I think this is a running back by committee in 2019, and I think Darwin Thompson has a chance to be a part of that. We'll see about Carlos Hyde's status. If these other running backs perform well in camp, he may be a casualty, could be cut before the season starts. Final pick of the draft for the Chiefs. They go center in round 7, which is their biggest need on the offensive line. Look, Nick Allegretti is not going to come in and start, all right? 3-year starter, team captain, good character guy, was up for a lot of character awards in the Big Ten. He has a little bit of versatility there, can play guard, can play center. I think you look at a round 7 offensive lineman, he'll compete for the final offensive line roster spot. Maybe you stash him on the practice squad, but that's kind of what you're talking about when you get this late in the draft. I'm all for taking a high character guy this late in the draft. It's a need. Maybe he develops into something down the road. I wouldn't expect this guy to plug in, though, and be the starter. Chiefs still have to figure out who their starting center is going to be. So to recap, the 6 selections. Mecole Hardman Juan Thornhill, your round 2 picks, addressing some needs there. Khalen Saunders on the interior defensive line in round 3. Rashad Fenton, corner in round 6. Darwin Thompson, the running back out of Utah State in round 6. I think he can have impact on day immediately. Nick Allegretti, offensive line out of Illinois, probably a practice squad there. So those are your 6 picks. That's not where the Chiefs stop, though. Several undrafted free agent signings. I'm intrigued by these 5 in particular. Kyle Shurmur, the quarterback out of Vanderbilt, obviously Pat Shurmur's son. Productive career at Vanderbilt, didn't win a ton, obviously. Over 3,000 yards, 24 touchdowns, just 6 picks last year. You look at the Chiefs' depth chart. It's not like they're loaded behind Patrick Mahomes, Chad Henne, E.J. Manuel. Maybe he has a chance to compete as your 3rd quarterback. Gary Johnson, really productive linebacker out of Texas, kind of a tweener, 225 pounds. Good productive player, though, and maybe a practice squad guy for you. Mark Fields, this guy is interesting. So, 4-star recruit out of high school, never could lock down a starting gig at Clemson. National championship game last year. Trayvon Mullen goes out. He comes in, is terrific, gave himself a chance to get drafted, went to the combine, didn't get drafted. Chiefs pick him up. I think he's got some upside as a nickel in the NFL. I think there's a chance he makes the roster considering how thin the Chiefs are at corner. Cody Thompson, big 2016 at Toledo, was hurt in 2017, had a decent 2018, has some size, 6'2", 205. Chiefs need outside receiver help. Maybe he's got a chance. James Williams, really productive back at Washington State, catching the football, over 200 catches the last 3 years, 83 catches in 2018. I like his potential. I think he'll compete with Darwin Thompson as this team's receiving back. I think he's got a real shot of making the roster. But I'll ask you guys, out of all the draft picks, undrafted free agents, whoever, which Kansas City Chiefs rookie are you most excited to watch in 2019? Give me Mecole Hardman. I like speed. I like excitement. That's who I got. I want you guys to comment in the YouTube comment section.